Okay, welcome to the Monday Vid Conference. It is the last vid conference of August, and it's only the 2nd of August. I think, no, third. This is the third. And we are going to two things today. John, you are John Fehling. Hello, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Robert.
So, John, tell us a little bit of, give us a little bit of, you can compress it as much as you like, but you bought a studio, you came into home video studio, you got that new Mac Studio. What do they call it? The Mac
Just the Mac Studio.
And you've been coming along with your productions throughout the years. So give us just a thumbnail sketch of the buildup until this Hanley's and these new videos that you won with.
Okay, just a real brief history of where I came from. I was a family physician, board certified family physician in Florida, Tampa Bay area for about 30 years. And then my wife and I decided to move up to Colorado. So I did that in 2016. And then I was kind of just spinning my wheels trying to figure out what to do next. I thought I'd still do something in medicine, but I started looking around for something else. And I stumbled upon Home Video Studio because I was actually trying to transfer some of my own videos and I had some technical difficulties with old equipment. So within a couple of days of discovering Home Video Studio, I was talking to Robert and talked to several studio owners, and I was very convinced that it was a very good second career for me. So after convincing my wife of that, we went up for a show and tell, and we bought a studio that same day. And that was the end of September 2017. And I opened my studio pretty much like January 1st of 2018. And I've gone to all the advanced trainings, all of the getaways, and learned lots of things. I really was not a video editor. I had a fair amount of knowledge about technical stuff, but not really any of the software and how to do things. So my first productions were very simple things, cuts, and very simple titles and just, canned music, and they did fine. Customers really liked them. But over the years, I've learned a lot from Frank Romer, from Louisa, and also from Chad. And my skills, I think, have improved. And I decided I always tried to advance things or go a little bit beyond what I've done before. So this particular year, I tried a few things. I did, of course, I had a fairly emotional story to tell that I've been, I planned on doing a video about Zoe for several years, as far as even capturing things, knowing that I wanted to do a tribute for her. But I did a very, very quick interviews or like that. 3 different people were on camera, myself, my daughter, and Lisa, our neighbor. And so I did set that up real quickly to do some interviews along with Zoe. And then, so I had all the material, but I didn't quite have the knowledge of how to put it all together. And, as people probably realize, when you lose someone, whether it's a pet or a person, it still takes a while for your heart to kind of settle to be able to do what you want to do. So this year was the right year. And I decided to do things that I hadn't. Part of it was I wanted to really tell a story, but also I wanted to advance what I was doing. So that's where the narration came from. So I have a very noisy studio. It's in my basement, about 10 feet away from my furnace and air conditioner. So I had to find the right equipment that would work to be able to do narration. But I found out it worked quite nicely in Premiere. And so I narrated the entire story, found music that seemed appropriate for the story, and did some special titles, and it all just went together. So, and apparently it was well received. So, okay, that's the story.
Oh yeah, that was a great story. You are a good storyteller, John. So the amazing thing, I think, is you had really no editing experience before you came into home video studio.
No.
this video you've done, and this isn't your first Hanley you've won several, many. I remember the one you did with the ocean deal, the fishing boat or something, or
The shark adventure, shark dive.
yeah, that was, you won in a couple categories for that. So typically studio owners get better and better and better. That video with your with Zoe, that is just that's really, it works on many levels, but it's a really great example of storytelling and how different ways to tell the story. So I don't know if everybody's seen it all yet, but it's pretty darn good. So were you surprised at the Hanleys that that you did so well, or that video was chosen?
I knew it was good. It's one of those when you put together, and I showed it to a few people, they said, wow, that's very good. but I didn't know it was good enough for certain categories. But I was hoping. But I each time it got an award, I was going like, oh my, this is really good. This is thank you. And it really did surprise me with the best, the President's Award, because that kind of just culminated as like, yes, I think I know what I'm doing now, or at least I know more of what I'm doing. So what surprised me also was that the entire video was shown instead of like a clip at the end, that was like, thank you. That was very good. The whole story was there.
It works on many different levels, as I mentioned, and I think you won. Did you not win for editing in that category?
Yes, for both the cut and paste, so the transitions between the different things, and also post-production. And I think post-production was the narration and maybe the titles and stuff.
Okay. What are you thinking about for next year? Are you starting to think about what you might do? Any pet projects, no pun intended?
I have one project that I might do. So it would be like a business promotion, but it might also qualify for a sports category. We'll see.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, because we're always thinking about what's next. Okay. Well, let's talk about that sports video you did, because you won best sports video for that.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sorry, the story on that is that was really only the first one I've done, but I came up with what are called sports showcases, and there's 3 different categories, and I have a nice printout that I can send to people. The basic one is just putting together their clips, clips and a little music and some stats and things. The second one is actually going, if I had the time, to go and film things. Like in this particular case, it was actually filming like a training session for batting practice. Then, or potentially if someone doesn't have enough footage, you might go and film like a game or two, and then use that. You know what you're looking for that would look good on screen. And the third option was to do that, plus also like a mini interview with the particular student, so that you kind of really try to give the coaches a little better feel for what the person, how they talk, how they think, how they work with other people, plus all of course their highlights from their sports things. So this one, I just happened to be that I was able to not only film the batting practice, but the trainer for the practice is a former Yankee. And so he actually agreed, at the end of the session, I said, hey, Greg, is it okay if we do like a mini interview? So we actually did that. So on the spot with my iPhone and my little gimbal and wireless microphones, we set things up within like 2 minutes, and I did an interview. And I used that actually as the basis to put all the other, the actual batting practice stuff along with the interview as the vocal behind it. So I thought that turned out really well, and I'm hoping that it'll help him get a scholarship, but it also it's unique. I don't think people would be expecting, or coaches would be expecting, that kind of a production. So I'm glad that was recognized as well.
Yeah, that was I hope people watch that one too if they haven't already seen it, because it is unique. And so you have three categories or three pricings or three
Yes.
packages that people can do.
Right. Yeah. The Showcase Essentials, the Showcase Deluxe, and the Showcase Ultimate. And I send them, I talk to them first and kind of figure out what they're after. And then I send them the information. So they, like it's a nice prepared write-up, and they
Right.
can decide what they'd like to do. So this was like the medium priced one. So it turns out to be a 5-minute video, but the actual cost to the client was $1,000.
That's right. 1,000, great for that's your medium. What are those three names again for those?
Oh, if people are interested, I'd be glad to share the PDF document or whatever, or
That would be great, but can you just riddle them?
The first one is just Showcase Essentials.
Okay.
Showcase Deluxe, which is the one that has either some game footage or a mini interview, and
Right.
then the Showcase Ultimate. And you phrase it like, if you really have a child, a student or athlete that you think really has a good shot at this, aren't they worth spending that kind of money on? Because the scholarships they would get, the exposure, it's something special compared to just the cut and paste little highlight reels that I think a lot of people get.
Right. And when people call in, they're like confused. They don't know what to do. And you see what John has done. He's branded these three, a whole package, but he's branded these three levels, these three values. And I'm sure your customers and your callers identify with those when they hear them. They start thinking, oh, Showcase Essential and Deluxe. I like those. And if you would share that,
I'd be glad to. There are entire companies that do this, and so it's really hard to, if you happen to have though a smaller community would be better, where you actually have a good relationship with the schools, and you talk to the coaches and say, hey, do you have anyone that might benefit from this? And the other thing that I always talk to people about, they're called showcases, but all you have to do is change the text. It could very well be an artist. It could be a trumpet player. It could be, anyone. And so you just kind of say, hey, some parents are already getting footage of things, but you can go way beyond that. And it doesn't take it really. It only took an iPhone, couple wireless mics, and we stood in front of a garage door. And so it was very simple to do the interview part.
So that is, sports videos are a niche, and there's whole industries that do that. I think that if you guys are doing and girls are doing sports videos, and I think John, you'd agree, it has to be something you're going to like doing.
Yes.
And you're going to get people call you, and some of them will connect and some of them won't. But it's a problem for people, because they do get kind of confused with their, with some of these bigger companies that have this video and stuff. So, but you won a Hanley Best Sports, and then you did your what was the name of the pet video? Zoe's
Journey Back in Time.
Yeah, it was good. That was good.
So, and just a little bit about that too. Like you said, it's on different levels. And as I was working through it, as I'm finishing it, it's like, wow, this is like really working through the grieving process. Because at first it's just so real and so gritty, like the actual last day of Zoe's life.
Right.
But then you go backwards into what you really want to remember about her, and also about whoever you might be doing a video for. So it puts them more in a nice place in your heart at the end of it, more or less. And the music got more lively as it went too. So I had to pick things that kind of worked with the tone of that.
where did you choose the music from?
Oh, the music, actually, it's purchased music. It came from Audio Engine, which is part of, can't remember the, I don't remember the main company, but yeah, they have, you can do a subscription thing, but these are individual songs, and so I don't mind supporting the artists.
Yeah, we should have a class or maybe a call on just the various royalty-free music options that are available.
Well, Chad talks about it all, you know, when you ask him, and also
Right.
Frank will. But you, the music is like Chad will say, or Frank is like, that's really what makes the video.
Right.
And so to set the tone. And so it takes a while to kind of find out. You already know what you want to say, but you really want the music to express the same things. And you're lucky if somehow the transition of how the music changes fits into as you're changing the tone of your actual video. So that worked out quite well for this one.
Hey, who do you show your videos to? Do you have anybody when you're working on a video, like, do you bring in your wife or anybody and say, hey, take a look, see what you think as you're going through?
Not generally, but as Debbie will always say, you know, if you've done a really good job, especially like the tribute videos, memorial videos, you are crying just along with your customer. I mean, it's like you get a feel for the person. You really, it's emotional, and you know, you get hugs from people if they happen to see it at the time. When, you know, it doesn't happen as much now with COVID, but hopefully we'll be able to open fully back up again, and people will be in studios, and yeah, it's you share. Debbie likes, I think, sharing them right with them at the time, and so
Yeah.
yeah. I know before we started, you had some questions about the Mac Studio and what kind of what horsepower you need for things, and
Oh,
what
right.
people might want to consider purchasing if they're going to upgrade.
A lot of the studios have bought the new Mac Minis with the M1 chip or the M2 now. And I do think that it's easy to make the mistake of buying too much, because my laptop, I spent $1,000 too much on it. I really don't need that much power. And so you've gone out over the course of the last 16 months, and you've got the mini with the M1, right? Tell us the three selections that you have.
So what I did, I was coming from a 2012 mini. I liked the format, but it no longer was keeping up. So I did purchase the M1 mini.
Yeah.
And it has 1 terabyte of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is the max you can do on that particular model. But it's great. It will do Lightroom. It'll do, Robert says it does 4K editing. It's nice and compact. So, and then at the last advanced training, my 2015 MacBook Pro wasn't keeping up anymore. And so I actually had to start working with proxies to be able to work with cell phone footage and stuff. So it's like, that's not going to work. So then I bought the M1 Pro, the 14-inch version. So it's nice and portable. And then my 2017 iMac wasn't keeping up anymore for editing as my main editing system. And so when the Mac Studio came out, initially I thought, wow, we need the ultra version, but that's not necessary. So it comes in a max and it comes in an ultra, and the max is fine. And that's supposed to edit like multiple channels of 4K video or even 8K video with lots of effects and things. So it's a nice system, but I spent a fair amount of money, but it was time to upgrade. So I'm glad I did it.
Okay, good. Because more and more studios are getting interested in some of this new Apple stuff. So Apple is definitely back, wouldn't you say so, when it comes to their stuff, John? They kind of like drifted away for a while.
I think so. But there's something to be said for, you know, some of the desktop PC versions of things too, because the graphics, if you need more horsepower, the graphics cards are very good.
That is true. I, however, can never buy another PC. No, just kidding. Sorry. Maybe I would. All right, John. Thanks for being our special guest today. Anything else, John?
If you want to get better, you need to come to the getaways, come to the advanced training, and then apply the things. Work with what you learn, even if it's your own material. But you'll get better and better. Learn the shortcuts. Learn the software. Learn new things, and then at least. Your productions will show. And the other thing that now is going to happen is I will be able to say, yes, I've done best of show like twice. The first one, of course, was Mike Bartlett. But also then you can say, yes, I have award-winning edits, and now my editing fee is such and such. So you feel more confident in charging more.
If you want to get your studio to top performance, you definitely want to learn Premiere Pro. That's our editing software, right? But I think every time that you put a video together, especially if it's something that is for you, well, even if it's for a client and there's a deadline, you just get better on editing. And John, I can see how you grew with this project, with the voiceover and the audio and just some of the transitions. But that gives you confidence to just to move forward in the business. I mean, I think I've gone through maybe 3 or 4 trials or tribulations of learning an editing system and then forgetting it and then going back in and learning it again. Like Final Cut 7 was all the rage 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and then we all switched to Premiere Pro. So once you get in, I'm saying this for the benefit of new studio owners who are just getting into Premiere Pro. Once you get in and you start doing some of these projects, you're going to have more and more confidence. It's interesting, John, because you're our special guest today because you did rather well at the Hanleys and you won the President's Award, the Best of Show. But this isn't the first time you've won that. You are, I think, the only studio to win this twice, possibly, maybe with the exception of Chad. So we're having this week, we've got John on. We're going to have Wendell on in about 2 weeks because there's no call next week because of the holiday. And then we're going to have round things out with Debbie Williams. Okay, it is 12:32. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a happy Labor Day. Goodbye, everybody. So long.
Take care.
Bye.